Hi everybody, I'm Ruechel and welcome to the PCS Journal, where it's time for us to sit down and chat with folks within Pinellas County Schools, what they do and how it affects your children. My guest today is Michelle Topping, Director, Educational Alternative Services for Pinellas County Schools. Michelle, how you doing?
Good, how are you today?
So we always have to start out with, tell me what the Educational Alternative Services Director does. What exactly is that?
Well, so I work with students and educators, helping students who traditional school maybe just hasn't been the place for them. So we have a variety of programs serving students from birth, actually, the babies have teen parents, all the way through 12th grade.
So how long have we been doing this? It's been around for years and years and years?
Yes, many years. We were formerly known as Dropout Prevention. About 5 years ago, we changed our name to Educational Alternative Services, but we're still providing the same kinds of programs and services for students and always trying to add new and innovative things each year. You know,
I'm always thinking about name changes. Like, for example, over in Tampa, they used to call them alternative schools and stuff, and then they changed it to, they call them Epic 3 now. And you would think that, okay, you change a name, it's like, okay, it's just a name change, but it's not, because it also ends up being an attitude change. And because you're thinking about dropout prevention, the first thing you think is, well, I had to be identified as being a potential dropout. So is that kind of what's the notion that goes into that?
That really was our matter of thinking. We wanted our students to feel as though they didn't have that negative label, that this was really just an alternative to a traditional setting or a program that would provide them an alternative to the traditional route to earning a high school diploma.
Now, because we know there are different learning styles. There are tactile learners, there are visual learners, and those kind of things. Does that kind of fit into this picture too?
It does. In many of our programs, we're offering virtual or online types of programs and blended learning, lots of hands-on experiences. In some, we even do alternative scheduling.
Mm-hmm. For the students that are involved in alternative learning, when is it identified that they could benefit from that kind of a service?
Oftentimes, students are identified as early as elementary school. We have programs ranging from 4th grade through 12th grade in our traditional and alternative schools. Oftentimes, however, students don't come into our programs until they're in high school and working towards their diploma. Maybe they've fallen a little behind earning credits or their GPA has dropped below what's required for graduation.
Now, when you say alternative learning schools, I mean, are these kids separated from the general population then?
In some instances, yes. We do have some smaller schools outside of the traditional school setting, and we also have a variety of programs that are actually provided within traditional school settings.
Mm-hmm. Which is the more preferred method?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Our middle and high schools, though, are separate. So we have, for example, Clearwater Intermediate School, which serves students in grades 5 through 8. We have Lealman Innovation Academy that serves students from grades 5 through 12. And then we have several high school programs, Bayside High, Disston Academy, and Pinellas Gulf Coast Academy as well.
Is dyslexia a problem that's easily identified? Because I'm thinking back that there are some people that have reading difficulties. Like they may be reading a sentence, but whereas most folks would look at it and they would comprehend a certain part of it, but a lot of kids who are suffering from dyslexia may look at the same sentence that you and I would look at and get a totally different interpretation.
So it's my understanding that's a big piece of it. That falls really more into our exceptional student education. I'm not an expert by any means in dyslexia,
yeah.
But we do have students in our programs who have issues like dyslexia and other learning difficulties that we help serve as well.
Now, somebody has to identify that they're having these challenges. Who is the person that does that? Is that the classroom teacher?
Sometimes it's a classroom teacher. It may be a school counselor. It might be an assistant principal. Sometimes it's the family or the student themselves who say, hey, I'm really struggling. I need some extra help.
Uh-huh. And then tell me about how does that work in terms of looking toward graduation, in terms of do they follow the same kind of curriculum course or not?
Well, the students still are required to earn the same number of credits and, of course, obtain the 2.0 GPA and pass their standardized testing. But the way that they get there may look a little bit different. So, for example, I mentioned earlier that we do some virtual or online types of learning. In those types of courses, students can actually accelerate their credit or course recovery. So they might be able to complete 2 school years within 1 school year, or they might be able to earn perhaps 10 credits, where in a normal traditional setting you might earn 7. So there are some great benefits to being a part of an alternative setting if you've fallen behind.
Now, I want to talk about specifically, what are some of the, and you said some of the smaller schools that deal with very specific alternative learning situations. Talk to me about those.
So we have some partners that we work with, various organizations. For example, the Chichi Rodriguez Academy is located in North County, and that's a program for elementary and middle school students. We have the Alpha program, which is located at Blanton Elementary, but that's actually also a little school within a school. And then our high schools are typically, for example, like Bayside High would tend to be about 250 to 300 students, and the same at Pinellas Gulf Coast or Disston. Lealman Innovation Academy is a little bit larger, but like I said, we serve students in grades 5 through 12 there, and our population is about 500 to 600 students.
Is there a commonality in these alternative services, i.e. they have problems with reading, they have problems with math, they have problems with staying focused on task?
That could be a part of the issues that the students are experiencing, but they may have just experienced issues in their life. For example, sometimes there are familial issues. Oftentimes we talk with students and we learn that perhaps they're a caretaker to an ill family member, or they're helping provide income to the family. So those kinds of issues could be part of it, but often it's just they've fallen behind for any number of reasons.
Now, I haven't talked about numbers, but I'm curious, and I know that school districts are all about numbers one way or another, but how many kids are involved in these alternative services?
So in our voluntary non-residential programs, we served about 2,400 students last year.
Wow, it's that many.
That many, and that's just in our smaller schools, like I mentioned, Chichi Rodriguez and Bayside High School, Pinellas Gulf Coast. But then also under our umbrella, we serve students who are participating in Department of Juvenile Justice programs, and those are residential. So we served a number of students there, and under our umbrella we have the teen parents and their children that I mentioned.
Gosh.
And our office also identifies the district's homeless students. So we've got a variety of types of students and families.
When you say homeless,
this
this is what I'm really curious about, because I hear different numbers, and I first of all, what is the definition of homeless?
So a homeless student is a student who's not living in a traditional setting. They might, rather than just a one-family home, they may be paired up with another family. They might be moving from home to home. They could be living in a hotel, motel, or even a shelter.
So somebody could be living with a relative and they would be declared as homeless?
They could meet the federal definition for homeless, yes, if they're doubled up in housing.
Because again, what happens is people that go homeless, they go, oh, they're all living in cars. And I know that there are situations where kids are doing that.
Sadly, yes.
So everybody's about measuring of success. How do you know that you've got the right child in the right program?
Well, sometimes it's a matter of trial and error, but we typically try to educate our schools and our parents about the types of programs, what we offer, and who we can assist. So, for example, some programs are more direct instruction, while others are more focused on the online or virtual platform and that blended learning. So we try to educate our school counselors and our assistant principals, who are often the folks who are referring students to us, about how we present the education and who we can help.
Measuring tools. I'm always curious about that. So let's go 3 years out after these kids graduate. What are their chances they're going to be successful? Are they just as good as everybody else?
Well, generally, I think they are. We have many students who are moving on to college. Oftentimes, they will go to one of our local state colleges, for example, SPC.
Because it's a lot cheaper, folks, okay? We have 4 kids, and I understand this really well on that side.
And we've got a lot of students who are also interested in Pinellas Technical College. So we're excited to see them transition into our technical college. And many decide to enter the workforce or go in the military. So we have students entering a variety of different fields, and we do have some that attend universities.
Now, when you say enter the military, this is not, there's no, what I call no stain or black mark or anything like that in terms of the military accepting them, correct?
That's correct. Our students are earning a traditional high school diploma.
Okay, so do you get a chance to meet some of these kids?
I do.
Do you have any stories of any of these kids in particular? You say, I remember this kid when he came into the program, and that you can share with us?
Well, there have been a lot of students over the years. I'm always touched at graduations, having the opportunity to listen to the valedictorian speak and to hear their stories. And this year, many of the stories actually spoke to my heart, but there was one particular young lady who talked about, as a younger student, she developed eating disorders and became very ill in middle school, and unfortunately had to be hospitalized for that, left school. And actually in 8th grade, I want to say she was still 14 or 15 years old. Her parents sent her to treatment. She improved her health, and then she entered high school. And although she entered high school late, she actually completed the program within 2 years, and she was at Pinellas Gulf Coast Academy. and has big plans to go on and do great things, but her story just really touched me.
Yeah.
Others that included teen parents, you know, who have small children, toddlers that they're taking care of, and just being persistent to get their education so that they can make a way for both themselves and for their family.
Sometimes I think the general public doesn't understand the struggles that young people have these days. Like people have said to me, "Wouldn't you like to be, you know, 15 or 16 again?" And I go, "No, no, not with the problems the kids are facing. When I was 15 or 16, I was running around with a pocket protector and gooky glasses, and my ears stuck out to here because I had to grow into them, which I finally did at age 40, I think it was. But when you get those kind of situations, so in terms of the number of people that you have within your department that work specifically on making sure the kids are placed in the right place, how many people are involved in that process?
Wow, so just in my office, I have about 72 employees.
Oh my
but
gosh.
then throughout the rest of our schools, we've got full staffs at our schools that include principals, assistant principals, school counselors, teachers, and all of the support services that go along with them. So
let's very quickly, because we're running out of time, let's talk about each one of these schools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 of them right now. Clearwater Intermediate School. Tell me about that one.
So Clearwater Intermediate is a school that helps our students in grades 5 through 8. They're located in Clearwater, so they serve primarily our North County students. We're excited next year they're adding a business education program to the curriculum. They've already got a culinary arts program, but one of our big one of our big focuses this year is that we want to make sure that our students have career technical opportunities so that they have an opportunity to learn a skill and perhaps even receive an industry certification that will take them beyond the classroom.
Let's move on to Lealman Innovation Academy.
So Lealman serves students in grades 5 through 12. Their career technical programs include business education, building construction, culinary, because we know that teenagers love to eat, and they're adding a full-out cosmetology program next year.
Oh my gosh. Bayside High School.
So Bayside is located over on 49th Street. They serve students district-wide, and they are adding some programs next year, including drone pilot. That's becoming a popular field with news agencies and real estate and business and everyone using drones.
Right.
They're going to continue their culinary program and add a nails and facial specialist program as well.
Pinellas Gulf Coast Academy.
Yes, Pinellas Gulf Coast Academy is another mid-county program. They're
where are they located?
On East Bay Drive, not far from Largo High School.
Oh, okay. No,
so they're again serving our mid-county students, and they're adding a 911 operator, a vision care technician, and again that drone pilot
The 911
program.
operator, I know one of the guys that runs that program for the county in Sunstar, and there's a tremendous shortage on that.
Yes.
And then finally, Disston Academy.
So Disston Academy is a South County school located in St. Petersburg. So they're working with our high school students that attend our South County schools, and they are going to be adding some new programs next year as well, including a drone pilot program, the nails and facials specialist program, and they're also going to add smart home technology installation technician.
You know, the kids got to realize you got to have a job to survive in this world, and it's nice to know the school districts are meeting that need, because I know industry-wide there's a tremendous need. College doesn't have to be the only way to go, especially if we're going to fill all these jobs that we have. Michelle Topping, thank you so much. Did a great job. Interesting about these great programs, and keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right. We're back with more of our program right after this.